Hey, hey, it's Tara, your yoga bestie, and got another great class for you today. So why don't we start out seated today, unless something else sounds good to you. So child's pose or reclined is always a great option. We don't have any props that we're using in particular today, but per usual, I love to have my two blocks. So once you find your space, go ahead and settle in. So maybe wiggle a little bit if you're seated so you can sit up nice and tall. And then we'll close down the eyes as we start to tap into our Ujjayi breath. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Taking this time to connect with our breath. It'll be our energy source throughout our practice. So as we inhale, feeling the space right below the navel start to lift. As it draws upward, feeling an expansion through the belly, the side bodies, the rib cage, and that breath draws all the way up to where it lifts the collarbones. And then on your exhalation, feel your belly button draw in towards the spine, allowing you to use all three parts of the lungs. Our Ujjayi breath is an audible breath, so you're gonna hear a snoring-like sound in the back of the throat, kind of like you're fogging up a mirror with your nose. And seating, create a rhythm where you inhale to the count of 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling the same. We've been talking about the chakras in my class. We're currently in the 6th chakra, which is located in between your two eyebrows, also known as the third eye chakra, associated with the color indigo. So you might envision a light pulsating from that area of the body it has an indigo glow to it. The third eye is associated with the pineal gland, which regulates melatonin for our sleep and wake cycles. Modern science calls the pineal gland a mystery organ because it has photoreceptors similar to the eye. So this might be why it's called the third eye chakra. And the affirmation that I'm offering you up that goes along with this chakra is I create space for inspiration. Inhaling, I create space. Exhale for inspiration. When you're ready, we'll start to find some movement. So if you're seated like I am, start to place your hands onto your knees, making circles in one direction and then the other. If you're on your back, maybe you start to just find some movement that feels nice to you. If you're in child's pose, same thing. And then we'll make our way into either a seated position or a reclined position as we bring our hands together at our heart center, our Anjali Mudra, setting our intention for our practice. And maybe that intention is using our affirmation of I create space for inspiration, or maybe something else comes to mind that speaks to you in this moment. Please honor that. And let's take another big breath in here. Exhale, let it go. And let's make our way into our tabletop position where we'll spread through the fingers nice and wide. Just starting to find a little bit of movement here, maybe some lateral movement from side to side, maybe some cat-cow movement. Maybe you're shifting back and then bringing one knee out to the side so you feel that space along the side bodies. That's a personal favorite of mine. And then come into your tabletop position. Keep a long neck as you gaze towards the front of your mat. We'll tuck our toes under, lifting up those knees to a hover. So you really want to bring that weight forward. You're going to feel your core start to engage a little bit more as you bring your weight into the base of the fingers. And you might start to like grip with those fingertips like you're creating a little bit of a claw. From this hovering tabletop, we're going to swivel our knees over towards the left, and we extend that right leg as we bring our left hand in towards our chest. This little ninja kick, and then we bring it back into that hovering tabletop. We'll switch directions, so swivel those knees over towards the right, extend that left leg as you bring the right hand to your chest, and then start to just kind of see if you can create a little bit of a rhythm for yourself here. There's no rush. It's a cool dance, isn't it? Once we are back to where that right leg's extended, go ahead and lower your seat, and you can bring that left knee in closer. So you're facing the side of your mat. We'll bring the right hand to the outside of our right leg, left arm will reach up as we come into our wild thing. So you're gonna be off your mat. Maybe you hold it there, maybe you start to find some movement, like bending and straightening the legs, making some circles. Inhale, we lift up. Exhale, gaze towards your right hand. Step your left foot to the front and your right foot to the back as you come into a wide forward fold. And feel free to make it static to where you just hang out here, or maybe you find a little bit of movement from side to side. We want to make sure we're shifting our weight forward, so we're coming towards the balls of the feet and out of the heels. And if it feels good to you in your practice, you can always incorporate like a tripod headstand. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll start to soften the left knee as we walk towards the front of our mat. We might have our blocks here as we start to shift forward and back, creating some space here in the hamstring. And the next time that we shift it forward, we'll hold it here, keeping that back knee lifted as we come into our full crescent pose. Make sure you're not on a tightrope, so if you need to walk that left foot out a little bit, you can. You might find a little bit of a bounce here, easing yourself into this space. Big breath in. Exhale, transition into your figure four chair. So we're gonna bring that right ankle above the left knee. We might reach those arms out in front of us. Maybe the hands come to the heart. Maybe your arms are on the leg. Maybe you have your blocks here coming into a forward fold variation, or we could come into that forward fold variation without the blocks. One more big breath in. Exhale, step that right foot back, coming into a runner's lunge to our twist. So left arm will reach up as we stack shoulder on top of shoulder. And then push the floor away as you lift up your torso, coming into your exalted. So maybe gazing past your left shoulder, maybe up towards the right fingertips, but keeping that forward knee nice and bent. Inhale. Exhale, ground down through that back foot, coming right into triangle pose. So open up your chest towards the other side of the mat. Stacking shoulder on top of shoulder. Leaning back so that you're really opening up through the chest. Exhale, lower that right hand down. And we're gonna come into a seated space. So bring that right knee behind just to come onto your seat. And then we'll lower onto our backs here. We'll bring our right ankle to meet the left knee, so creating a figure four shape. We'll go ahead and bring those arms behind the hands behind the head, interlacing the fingers as those elbows go out to the side. And then go ahead and extend your left leg up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, bring your left elbow across to meet your right knee. And then as we inhale, we bring ourselves into a hover, extending those legs out in front. Head comes down. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it across. Inhale. Exhale, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. We'll lower the head down. We can find ourselves a reclined pigeon pose here. So maybe gently press into the inside of that knee. Or if it feels good to have that foot lifted, you might interlace the fingers underneath or across the shin. One more breath in. Exhale, move into a spinal twist. So you can keep that right knee going up towards the ceiling, or you can come into a different variation. Maybe you gaze past those right fingertips as you allow the body to surrender into the floor and into the mat. Big breath in. Exhale. And then bring your gaze to center. Bring your legs to center. We'll start to rock and roll to our tabletop position. Spread through those fingers nice and wide. And go ahead and tuck those toes under. Hovering those knees, coming into that hovering tabletop. We'll start out with those little ninja kicks from the side. Move those knees over towards the right first. Setting the left leg as the right hand comes to chest. And then just moving from side to side here. Yeah, next time that you have that left leg kicking out, go ahead and lower your seat. You're facing the side of the mat. And then we move into our wild thing. So left hand to the outside of that left leg, right arm reaches up as we lift up those hips, maybe finding some movement here. Big breath in, we lift. Exhale, gaze towards your left hand. Step the right foot to the front and the left foot to the back of your mat as you come into your wide forward fold. So again, maybe finding some movement or just hanging out here. You want to play with your inversion. It's always a great option. Just really working that weight forward as you push into the mat. So having those 90-degree angles with the arms is really important too. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll start to walk towards the front of the mat, coming into our runner's lunge, where maybe you incorporate the blocks if that's helpful. We shift forward and back from runners to our pyramid-like pose. Next time we shift it forward, go ahead and move into that full crescent pose, reaching the arms up overhead, making any adjustments so that your legs are set up properly. Big breath in. Exhale, transition into that figure 4 chair. So we bring our left ankle above that knee, finding your arm placement. It may be the same as the first side, it may not. All the different options that were provided before are obviously available this time as well. Inhale. Exhale, step that left foot forward, runner's lunge to our twist. And then we lift up that torso, coming all the way up into that exalted warrior. Big breath in. Exhale, ground down through that back foot. Face the other side as you come right into your triangle pose. Sitting back into the pose, so you're opening up to the chest. Find a focal point that feels good to your neck. That could be a lot of different things. Big breath here. Exhale, lower that left hand down, and we come to our seat. As we come onto our seat, we then move on to our back. And this time, the left ankle meets the right knee. Hands come behind the head as we interlace the fingers. And let's go ahead and reach that right leg up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, bringing that right elbow across to meet your left knee. Inhale, we bring our body to a hover. Exhale across. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. So from here, making your way into your version of this reclined pigeon pose. So it may be the same as the first side, but it may not be. Listen to what each side needs. That's what's the most important. Big breath in. Exhale, move into that spinal twist, letting your legs fall over towards the right, and maybe gazing past your left fingertips, just allowing the body to surrender into the floor. One more breath in. Exhale. And then bring your gaze to center, bring your legs to center, and we'll rock it all the way up to our standing forward fold at the front of our mat. And feel free as you come into this space to separate your feet at least hip distance apart, but maybe wider. I know I prefer wider. And you might reach for opposite elbows or bring the arms behind the back, interlacing the fingers. Maybe walk your hands from side to side, just also noticing what the breath is doing as you come into this upside down shape. Maybe shake the head out. Inhale. Exhale, release those arms. Start to toe heel your feet in towards one another. And we'll roll all the way up to standing. Once we come to standing, draw your shoulders up, back, and down. Inhale, arms reach up, gazes up. Exhale, forward fold. So either swan diving or bringing the hands through heart center. Inhale, we lengthen halfway. Hands plant as we step or float it back into our plank or push-up position. So take some time to warm up here. You can bicycle the legs, maybe shake the head out. Really getting in tune with your breath and the shape. Softening the knees, we'll gaze forward as we walk or float to the front. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Let's reverse, reaching it up and back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen halfway. Hands plant as we step or float it. Lowering or hovering. Inhale into our cobra or up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Big breath in. Exhale. Inhaling. Exhale, soften those knees, gazing forward as you step or float. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, forward fold. Let's reverse. Exhale, forward. Inhale, we lengthen halfway. Hands plant as we step or float back. Making our way to our down dog or any resting position of choice. That is our warm-up for today. So just check in with your breath, check in with how you're feeling. Check in with our affirmation. I create space for inspiration. So just think about all of these different poses that we're utilizing to open up space in our body. That could lead to inspiration. So we're gonna be moving into our first main sequence of the practice. If you're new to my class, I do two main sequences. First one is peanut butter, and the second one is jelly. And the first one, we go through a little bit slower, and then we repeat it a couple times with more breath pace. That's peanut butter. And then we do the exact same thing with jelly. And then at the end, we bring these two sequences together for one long, delicious peanut butter and jelly sequence sandwich. And it's my favorite part of the practice. So, good news, it's repeatable. So if you need to take a break, cool. If you want to add on, cool. So yeah, just listen to what you need. And we'll go ahead and come into our tabletop position to start out with for a moment. Just kind of finding some movement in this space. Going into our down dog. So tuck those toes under, lifting up the hips nice and high. We'll inhale, reaching that right leg up. Let's open up the hip, heel to behind, knee up towards the ceiling. Stay here, start to make some circles, going in one direction, going in the other direction. Inhale, we reach that leg up. Exhale, knee draws the nose. Bring that foot all the way through as we come into our crescent pose. Arms will reach up overhead. Big breath in here. Exhale, moving into our figure four chair. So bring that ankle above the knee. You figure out your arm placement, sitting back into that heel. Now, if you wanted to play with an arm balance, you could always play with your flying pigeon pose. Maybe you have blocks underneath your hands as you start to bring your leg into those armpits and shift it forward. Maybe just playing with lifting up that foot as you push the floor away, which is such a big aspect of coming into any of these arm balances. If that's not your jam, totally cool. From here, we'll send our left leg back as we come into our runner's lunge and move into our twist. Inhale, we lift up into our exalted. So we should feel familiar from our warm up. Exhale, ground down through that back foot as you move into your triangle pose. Big breath in here. Exhale. And then we're gonna face the back of the room as we come into arrow lunge. So it's kind of like our crescent, but our torso's in that 45-degree angle. And feel free to reach your arms forward, hands to the hips, hands at heart center, reaching the arms back. So whatever works best for you. Try not to grip the mat with those left toes. Try to maybe push the floor away with that ball mound of the foot. Inhale. And as we exhale, transition into dancer's pose. So we'll reach for that right foot or ankle. You can bring those knees together as you start to extend through the arm. And then we'll kick into that hand with the foot, creating our dancers. Big breath in. So on our exhale, we come to seated twist. We release that right leg, and it comes right behind the left as we come onto our seat. You can sit up nice and tall. And then bring the left arm behind you. Right arm can reach up as we either hug this knee in or use our elbow as leverage. Shoulders draw down as we lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, maybe going deeper into your twist. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll gaze to the other direction, so past our right shoulder. We're just gonna walk our hands all the way to where we face back forward in that tabletop position where we'll tuck our toes under, coming into our down dog, so we're ready for our second side. So left leg lifts this time, opening up that hip, heel to behind, knee up towards the ceiling. We stay or we start to make our circles, going in one direction, going in the other direction. Inhale, we straighten. Exhale, knee draws the nose as we bring that foot all the way through. Full Anjaneyasana, full crescent pose. Inhale. Exhale, feel that core engagement, belly button to spine as we move into our figure four chair. All the different options. Of course, if you want to play with that flying pigeon, we can always use our blocks. Gives us something tangible to push against, or the floor. And then bring that leg into your armpits as you shift it forward, maybe lifting up that back foot. And remember, like 1 millisecond counts. So it's really important to celebrate all your successes. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you got your foot off the ground, that's something. That's big. That's amazing. And then we step it back, runner's twist, right hand down, left arm reaches up. Lifting up the torso, we come into our exalted. And then as we exhale, ground down through the back foot, open up to the other side, triangle pose. Really leaning back. Inhale. Exhale, lift up the torso and transition to the back as you come into your arrow lunge. So back heel is lifted. Find your arm variation. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we take flight into our dancer's pose. So we kick towards the behind as we reach for that foot or ankle. Reaching that right arm forward as that foot pushes into the hand to create our back bend. One more breath in. Exhale, we'll release. Bringing that left knee behind the right as we come all the way onto our seat. Moving into our seated twist so we can sit up nice and tall. And then right arm comes behind us, left arm reaches up as we either hug that knee in or use our elbow as leverage. Inhale. Exhale. And then we twist the other way, coming all the way forward onto our hands and knees. Let's pick up the pace on this. So we'll come into down dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, crescent pose. Exhale, move into that figure four chair. Step it back. We inhale into that runner's twist, all the way up into that exalted. Exhale, ground down through the back foot so that we can inhale, opening up the chest in our triangle pose. As we lift up the torso, we face the back, coming into our arrow lunge. And then inhale, take flight, moving into dancer's pose. So find that foot or ankle, allow it to push into the hand to create more space as we inhale. Exhale, moving into that seated twist. So once we have ourselves all the way down, let's twist towards the left. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we go over the right shoulder, so we go in the opposite direction, coming all the way into our tabletop facing forward. To down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, we'll bring it through. Inhale, crescent pose. Exhales our transition into our figure four chair. Inhale, runner's twist, all the way up to that exalted. Exhale, ground down as we move into our triangle pose. Inhale lifts you up as you face the back, coming into arrow lunge. Exhale. Inhale, moving into our dancer's pose as we take hold of that foot. Exhale brings us into our seat. Left leg behind the right. We twist towards the right, big breath in. Exhale. And then we twist the other way, coming into our tabletop position. All right, let's make our way into our down dog. We inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, moving into that figure 4 chair. We take it back. I just realized I did the same side. We go into that runner's twist, lifting it up into our exalted. And then we open it up to triangle pose. Inhale, face the back, arrow lunge. And then we move into that dancer's pose. Left knee comes behind the right as we twist to the right. And then we go in the other direction as we come back onto our hands and knees. And now we'll do our last time on the right side. So come into your down dog. Right leg lifts. Let's bring it through. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, moving into that figure 4 chair. Inhale, runner's twist all the way up to our exalted. Exhale, grounding down as you come into triangle pose. Inhale, lift up, moving into your arrow lunge. And then we lift up into our dancer's pose. Right knee comes behind the left, seated twist. And then we go over the right shoulder, coming into our tabletop. How we doing? I hope you're doing awesome. So take a moment just to check in with your breath. That's our peanut butter for today. And we'll be moving into jelly next. And guess where we start out in jelly? Tabletop position. So when you're ready, make your way there. And we'll go ahead and just check in with our breath, slow it down. Inhaling, I create space. Exhale for inspiration. I create space for inspiration. All righty. Let's tuck those toes under, coming into that hovering tabletop. And we'll swivel the knees over towards the left, sending that right leg out. And then we go to the other direction. And then we come back to that right, where we'll lower our seat as we face the side of the mat. Right hand comes to the outside of that leg as we inhale, lifting up for our wild thing. Exhale, gaze towards your right hand. Step your left foot to the front and your right foot to the back as you come into your wide forward fold. Inhaling here. Exhale. One more big breath in here. Exhale, start to soften that right knee. We're coming into our side angle to the back, so we keep a strong and straight back leg. You can always have a little bind or a partial bind if you like, or you could reach that arm up, maybe reach the arm up overhead. Big breath in. Exhale, lower the left hand down, come into your runner's twist. And we could stay here, or maybe we come into horizon lunge, come to the outer edges of both feet as we reach towards the front of the mat. Big breath in. Exhale, lower that right hand down and come into your tabletop position. So we're ready for our second side. So it's gonna feel confusing as we're facing the back. So as you hover those knees, you're still gonna swivel those knees over towards the same side, which now is the right. Left leg extends, right hand to heart, and then we switch it out. And then we come back as we lower our seat, facing the side of the mat. Inhale, wild thing, lifting up those hips. We gaze towards our left hand as we step our right foot to the back of the mat and our left foot to the front of the mat, coming into our wide forward fold. So if you liked playing with different options like tripod headstand here, totally awesome to do. Big inhale. Exhale. Softening that left knee, we go towards the front of our mat as we come into our side angle pose. So it's like we're in warrior two legs. Again, any options that feel good in your practice today. Really trying to push the floor away so that you feel the energy direct upwards so you're not gripping the toes. Inhale. Exhale, bring that right hand down, coming into your runner's twist, maybe moving into that horizon lunge. Full breath in. Exhale, lower that left hand down, bring the knees together, and we'll start to pick up the pace on this. So tucking those toes under, we hover the knees, swiveling the knees over towards the right leg extends, left, right, and then we come onto our seat. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, stepping into that wide stance. We'll shift to the back of our mat as we inhale into our side angle pose. Exhale, left hand lowers as we come into our runner's twist. Inhale, maybe coming to the outer edges of both feet for horizon. And then we meet back in that tabletop position. Toes tuck under. We swivel, left leg extends, right leg extends. Left leg extends, we come onto our seat. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, step it into your wide stance. Bending that left knee, we come towards the front of the mat as we inhale into our side angle pose. Exhale, bringing that hand down as we inhale, runner's twist, maybe to that horizon lunge. And then we move into our tabletop position. Nice work. Tucking those toes under. Extend the right leg, the left leg, the right leg as you come onto your seat. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, step it into that wide stance. Inhale, coming into your side angle pose to the back of the mat. Exhale, lower that left hand down. Inhale, runner's twist, maybe horizon. Exhale takes you back into that tabletop. All right, come into those hovering knees, and then left leg extends, right leg extends, left leg to our seat, facing the side. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, step it into that wide stance. Inhale, side angle pose to the front. Exhale, lower that hand. Inhale, runner's twist, maybe horizon. Exhale takes you to your tabletop position. How's it going? Are you ready for my favorite part of the practice? We're bringing these two together one last time for one delicious peanut butter and jelly sandwich sequence. So give yourself your pep talk. Get pumped about this. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've worked for. So we're gonna meet in tabletop position. And as we come into that space, inhale, I create space. Exhale for inspiration. I create space for inspiration. Let's go. Down dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, crescent pose. Exhale, moving into that figure four chair. We step it back as we inhale, runner's twist, all the way up into that exalted. Exhale, grounding down for that back foot as we come into our triangle pose. Inhale, face the back for that arrow lunge. And we move right into our dancer's pose. Big push into that hand. Exhale, seated twist, so bringing that right knee behind. And then we twist towards the left. We come over that right shoulder and we meet in our tabletop position. We'll tuck those toes under as we hover and we extend the right leg, the left leg, the right, and we come onto our seat. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, step it into your wide forward fold. We soften that back knee as we come to the back into our side angle pose. Exhale, left hand comes down, runner's twist. Maybe we take it to horizon lunge. And then we move into that tabletop position, which means the first side is done. All right, let's do this. Down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, we'll bring it through. Inhale, crescent pose. Exhale, moving into that figure four chair. We step it back as we inhale, runner's twist, all the way up into that exalted. Exhale, ground down through the back foot as we move into our triangle pose. We inhale, lifting up, we face the front, coming into our arrow lunge, all the way into our dancer's pose. Exhale, moving into that seated twist, and we twist towards the right. We twist the other direction as we come onto our hands and knees, facing the back of our mat. Tuck those toes under, and we extend left leg, right leg, left leg to our seat. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, step it to that wide stance. Inhale, side angle pose towards the front of your mat. Exhale, right hand comes down so that we inhale, runner's twist, maybe coming into that horizon lunge. And then bringing those knees together as we come into our tabletop, which means you did it. Nice work. Give yourself a pat on the back. Be so proud of what you've just accomplished because it's not easy. Check in with your breath, slow it down. We're going to prepare ourselves for our alternate nostril breathing before we close down our practice. It's a great way to balance both hemispheres of the brain. It's a great way to let go of any stress, anxiety, brain fog, things that are frustrating, and it's really easy. So we're going to do the hang loose hand, plugging that right nostril. We'll inhale in through the left, and we'll plug the left as we exhale out through the right. Inhale right, exhale left. Inhale left, plug and exhale right. Inhale right, exhale left. Inhale left, and just keep going. You determine how many rounds you want to do. And once you've determined that, place your hands onto your knees and just start breathing out of both nostrils. Taking a moment just to let all of this work sink in. From this space, we'll make our way onto our backs, unless there's anything else that you want to do that's upright. Please be sure to get in that for sure. Otherwise, make your way onto your back. Maybe find a nice rocking motion like windshield wipering the legs or just rocking along the spine. Maybe finding your happy baby pose. And if there isn't anything else that you need, we're moving into our final pose of Shavasana, our final relaxation. So maybe come into a nice wide stance, allowing the feet to fall freely to the sides, arms coming down by your sides with palms facing up. And I want to encourage you to take up space on your mat. Our practice is a reflection of our lives off the mat. So the idea is that if we take up space here, we take up space once we go out into the world. And as you come into this place, have so much gratitude for showing up to your mat, so much gratitude for all the hard work that you put in, and so much gratitude for this feeling that you created through those things. And be so proud of yourself because you did amazing. You are so amazing. Know that I'm proud of you for showing up, making this commitment to yourself and your mat. It's not ever easy. We've got a lot going on. So now just allow your breath to be soft, your body to be still. Shavasana. As always, feel free to stay in this Shavasana as long as you need. We'll start to deepen our breath, inviting small movements like wiggling the fingertips of the toes, reaching the arms up overhead, saying hello to this new body as you come into this full stretch. Chin comes into our chest as our knees come into our chest as we roll to one side in our fetal-like pose, our pose for new beginnings. I create space for inspiration. Take this feeling with you as you leave the mat. That is when our true yoga begins. When you're ready, we'll meet in a seated position of choice, Hands will come to heart center in our Anjali Mudra as we tuck our chin under. And we'll close our practice with Namaste. Thank you so much for being here, for spending time with me. It's always a true honor. Until next time.